All right, last speaker before lunch. You have to know the right people to get this time slot. Pay a little extra. My name's Sean Sellers. I'm with the Suncoast Climate Justice Coalition. We are a volunteer-powered network that formed last year. We're comprised of 20 community and faith groups across Sarasota and Manatee County. And our focus is really to promote climate solutions grounded in resiliency and equity. And Sarah's presentation just now was a great primer on what some of that equity focus means. And I will also say that grassroots organizing and movement building is really central to our theory of change. We think that's going to be necessary to get us where we need to go. So our focus to date has been on the Ready for 100 campaign, which is a national initiative of the Sierra Club that's also had backing from organizations like 350.org. And what it attempts to do is harness the power of local communities to accelerate the transition to renewable energy. So to date, 64 cities and 9 counties across the United States have either committed to this goal or already achieved it. In Florida, the St. Petersburg paved the way by committing to 100% in 2016. They're now working to implement that. And in Sarasota, after a short campaign that our coalition led, the city commissioners last June unanimously approved a resolution on a 5-0 vote committing the city of Sarasota to 100% renewable energy for municipal operations by 2030, which is coming up pretty soon, and 2045 for the community-wide goal. So this was a big accomplishment, and we were really pleased with it. Of course, now we know that the real work begins, because it's relatively easy to pass resolutions and it's much more difficult to actually transform your energy system. So we need multi-tier strategies that are going to address municipal operations, the broader community, and the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is FPL, essentially a corporate monopoly that has tremendous influence over policymaking and the regulatory system here in Florida. So across all these domains, we're going to need to reduce energy demand, significantly reduce energy demand, and then replace the existing dirty fuels with renewables. So taking a whole systems approach to this is really akin to playing three-dimensional chess. You can't just be looking at one plane of the board. You have to keep the whole scheme in mind. But there is one unflinching variable in our favor, which is that solar prices continue to plummet. And that's an irreversible trend that will help drive this transition. So moving forward, our roadmap really has 3 components. We're working with the city of Sarasota and Stevie Freeman Montez on a public planning process right now. So this will include a mix of strategies and benchmarks for energy demand reduction, deployment of renewable energy, and our ultimate benchmark for success, which is the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. We will regularly check our progress against our goals, and so we're kind of borrowing from adaptive management principles in that process. There'll be a set of recommendations that'll go before the City Commission, perhaps as soon as September, for those strategies and benchmarks, and it's really important that that ultimately is accompanied by public funding streams, because recommendations without resources are elaborate dead letters. They're not going to take us anywhere. And so when that time comes, we're going to be counting on the support from people in this community to make sure the commissioners understand that message. Second, in the meantime, we're not simply waiting around for this planning process to conclude. We're launching a solar co-op in May. This will be the second one conducted in Sarasota County. Manatee County has one going right now, I believe. And what this does is allow homeowners and small businesses to pool their purchasing power to secure deep discounts on solar installations on their residence or business. We're also intervening in some high-profile public projects, such as the Bayfront 2020 redevelopment and the Marian Anderson Place Brownfield redevelopment, to ensure that these have strong renewable energy components. And we are continuing with the painstaking and relatively unglamorous work of grassroots community education and outreach. So we have a table here, and please check that out during lunch. Finally, we're keeping the broader landscape in focus. So that means actively supporting Ready for 100 campaigns in Bradenton, Venice, and Northport. The campaigns are all ongoing in those communities. We know that Sarasota and Manatee counties eventually need to follow suit with similar commitments. These efforts, combined with others across the state, are what's ultimately going to be necessary to build enough power to force FPL to adapt its business model to a low-carbon future. This also means that we will continue to oppose efforts by FPL and other utilities to expand fracked gas infrastructure in the state of Florida, and we'll keep an eye on state-level policy changes where we can shift the environment in Tallahassee to be more conducive for the deployment of renewable energy and energy efficiency measures. So in conclusion, we have no illusions. I mean, it's easy to say all this in a few minutes, but we have no illusions about how difficult this process will be, how much time it will take. But given the dimensions of the climate crisis we've been discussing over the past couple days, we feel that, frankly, we have no choice. We have to dare to set ambitious, transformative goals for ourselves, and then we have to labor to realize those aspirations with fierce urgency. Thank you.